This is Kathy from Gadgets Top 321, and in today's video I'm going to be taking a look at my go-to fountain pens from 2019. These 6 pens each have a particular purpose in my collection, and I find with each of these pens, when I'm using them, they are my favorite fountain pen. So the first on my list is the Kaweco Skyline Sport. This is the first fountain pen that I bought for myself. I did tons of research. I knew that I wanted a pocket pen, and I watched tons of videos from Matt Armstrong and Stephen Brown and Goulet pens, and I decided on the Kaweco Skyline Sport. Let me get my glasses on. With the extra fine nib, it's got just a small number 5 size extra fine nib, and the good thing about this, it's got a screw out nib section that you can get other size nibs, replacement nibs, so you don't have to buy a whole new pen if you want to try another nib size. Or if you have 2 pens, you can get 2 different nib sizes and swap them back and forth. I have this inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku, Konpeki, and I find that this nib works really well with the Pilot Iroshizuku inks, which tend to be a little more flowy, and also I've had good luck with Sailor Gentle Black. This is, for an extra fine nib, it's pretty smooth. And it's just it's not my prettiest or coolest pocket pen, but it does the best job, I feel, at being a pocket pen. And the nice thing about the Kaweco Sports is they come in so many different colors and materials. I was watching ODE unpack the advent calendar, and he had a petrol colored aluminum Sport. Oh man, such a nice pen. Well, next on my list is another one of my all-time favorites, the Pilot Custom 74. This falls into the just workhorse category of pen. This is a super nice workhorse pen. It also has a fairly small number 5 size. Let's see if I can focus. But this is a 14 karat gold rhodium plated nib. For a Japanese fine, it is super smooth, and it's got a little bit of bounce to it. It's just a very comfortable pen to write with if you're going to be writing for a long time, taking lots of notes, whatnot. And I find with this pen that it's not very particular concerning what ink you use with it, whereas the Kaweco Sport works best with flowy inks. I've had good luck with whatever inks I've tried in it. In fact, I'm using Diamine Earl Grey right now. Which I have not had good luck with in other pens, but it works great in this one. So this is just a good all-around pen. very pleasant to use, just very comfortable. Has a good ink capacity when you pair it up with the Con 70 converter. Just a great workhorse pen. Now next in my collection is the Sailor ProColor 500. And the main reason I got this pen is because it reminded me of the first fountain pen that my dad ever gave me. It's an old Schaefer cartridge pen that he used when he was in high school. And this is, at the time I was using it, I didn't know any better, but it doesn't have a very pleasant nib on it. So when I saw this pen that was a similar color and style, like a modern day updated version, I picked it up and I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoy using this pen. Now this has a Sailor, it's a small, it's marked as a fine steel nib, but in the product description it said it was a medium fine, and I tend to agree with that description when I compare this to my other nibs. So this is the Sailor ProColor 500. And I'm going to call it a medium fine nib. Now when I compare this nib to the Custom 74, this has more feedback. It's not scratchy, it's not unpleasant, but it does have feedback. And I have this paired up with KWZ Standard Grapefruit, which I love this pen and ink combination. And I like to use this pen, or I did when I paired up with the KWZ Grapefruit. I like to use this pen for grading, but the feedback in this pen, I find that I really like to use it for journaling and when I'm doing my Bible study, taking notes. The amount of feedback when paired with a nice smooth paper, I really enjoy using it. So I'm going to be when I'm done with grapefruit, I may actually clean this out before I'm done with it, before I'm done with the grapefruit, because I've got a new pen that I really enjoy grading with. It's the Fuliwen 017, just a beautiful turned acrylic pen, hand turned acrylic, that there's a lot going on with this pen that I don't typically like. It doesn't have a clip. It's a pretty good size pen, but it's got a number 6 steel medium nib, and it's super smooth. It posts nicely. It's well balanced, and I've found that I like to use this for grading. Now this is the most recent addition to my collection. And even though this is marked as a medium, when compared with other nibs in my collection, this is actually more like a broad. And the nice thing about this pen, and one of the things that make it such a good school pen, is that even though it writes so broad, the reverse writing is outstanding. And reverse writing is something that I have never typically done with my pens, but with this one, it's like having two pens in one. And I have it inked up with Iroshizuku Azagao. Just a really fun pen to use, and it makes me look forward to grading papers. Let's see. And next on my list, this is a fairly recent addition to my collection also. It's a Platinum 3776 with a medium nib. I asked my husband to get me this for Christmas. Platinum, in my opinion, has the most beautiful nibs. That's simple but beautiful. It's a 14 karat medium, rhodium plated. Let's see. And to me, this medium nib just hits the sweet spot. I'm typically a fine nib user, but this medium nib, when you compare it to this one, you'll see. It's more like a fine nib, and it just hits that sweet spot of smoothness with a little bit of feedback. I have this inked up with another Iroshizuku. Murasaki Shikibu. And just a really first off, it's just a nice looking pen. It's well balanced. It just fits great in my hand. I can use it posted or unposted. All of the pens I'm showing today are cartridge converter pens, so they're easy to clean out. Just a really nice pen. Again, this has that a little bit of feedback like the Sailor. Actually, by some people's standards, they would say it has a lot of feedback, but it just works really nicely with smooth papers. So if you're taking notes or journaling on really good paper, these are enjoyable pens to use. Now, I think I said at the beginning that these pens are not in any particular order. If I didn't say that, I intended to, but I did save my favorite pen for last. These two pens serve pretty much the same purpose. I love using them for note-taking and journaling, but this one is my favorite. Just that cream ivory color paired with the gold. It also has a medium nib. Again, just fits my hand perfectly, either unposted or posted. And like the Platinum, it has that feedback that makes it just so enjoyable to use with good paper. Let's see. So this is the 1911 standard with a medium nib. And let's see. I have this, I like to ink this up with Diatramentis Sherlock Holmes. It just makes a nice note taker with, I don't know, this ivory color with the gold trim. To me, it gives it a kind of a Victorian vibe, and paired with the Sherlock Holmes, I just love that pen and ink combination. And it's a decently wet writer, and each of these, when I'm using them for the purpose that they serve in my collection, at that time, they're my favorite fountain pen. Each of these pens, I look for reasons to write with them. And that's good, especially for my work pens. It motivates me to get to work. And for my journaling pens, it motivates me to journal or take notes. And these are just what I call my go-to fountain pens for 2019. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel.